Hello my brothers and sisters in nerdiness, welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in this video we're making a rather special diorama. I'll explain what's so special about it later on. But first of all, let me explain a few things we've done here. On the left hand side you can see there that looks like a wall that's fallen down, possibly a gateway into somewhere. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. It's sort of like a path leading into somewhere, and there's been a wall and it's come down either with age or been knocked down for some reason, and we've made it with these pieces of XPS foam. Just basically cut it up into those pieces and glued it down. Very simple job. And then at the bottom you will see some lumpy bumpy bits. There you are. You can see them there, and that was done by using some of this birch chipping stuff from Geek Gaming Scenics. Love the material to work with. I've used it a few times for miniature bases, but I've not used it yet. Well, hadn't up till doing this. Hadn't used it for diorama pieces or scatter terrain or anything like that. So it was a first for me. So what we did was we got a lid from a box that I bought from a discount arts and craft and stationery supplier, and inside that I cut to size some packaging foam, and then once I glued it all down, glued on the bricks and all the birch chippings on it, I covered it then in Geek Gaming Scenics modelling compound. So that's where we are now. Okay, so you're up to speed, and what we're going to do now is explain what we did next. We made some trees. This was a bit of a daunting prospect for me because I never made trees before, so I made some inquiries, and I'd seen it before, but I'd never been able to get my hands on it, and I found somewhere that sold it, and they recommended using these. This is sea foam. They look like basically small trees and bushes, and you can snip pieces off and glue them to twigs to make trees, or you can just use them freestanding, or use them as they are, rather, in the way I've done them. And what I've done is I've got some glue, sprayed it onto the branches of this sea foam. I covered it then, or sprinkled on some dark green flocking material, and this is one of the flocking materials I got. This is paler green, which I applied after the darker green had dried up. That's the dark green, and then went on to the light green. So I did the dark green first. Once all the glue had dried and everything was okay with that, I then sprayed on from the top of the tree, and then sprinkled some of the paler flock on top of that, and that's how we get the trees looking how they are. So there we are. I think that is it. Other than to say that the black is not just paint, it's a mixture of paint and Mod Podge to give it a rather strong surface to work through. So now let's get our airbrush out, and inside the airbrush we have some white paint, but at the moment I'm just blasting over with air to remove any dust and loose particles that is on the top of this surface. And now here we go with blasting it with some whites. Now we're not going all over, we're not painting it completely white, it's just like a zenithal highlight. We're leaving some areas dark, some areas pale, just so that it gives a different texture or different look to the paint that we're going to be putting on next. But as you can see, we're going near enough all over it. We're just picking out certain areas. It does it automatically really. We're not actually picking out anything, we're just going over, and any areas that are in shadow and overcast will, not overcast, what's the word I'm looking for? Any areas that are recessed will stay recessed and give us a darker look as we go on with this. But yeah, it's a nice way of doing things. So now we'll change, and everything that we want to be everything that we want to be earth, good lord. We're going to be spraying with Vallejo Model Dark Earth. That's where I got the dark from for some strange reason. So this is going to look fairly pale where the white has been already, and where it's going to hit any recesses where the white hasn't touched properly, then it's going to look a little bit darker. So that's why we're doing it this way, and I have speeded this up just so you can see exactly what we're doing all the way through. I didn't want to just do a edit thing where it's cuts out to see where it starts and then cut and catch up for where it's just about to finish. I wanted to show you all the steps that I've done, especially since I missed out on the first few steps. Again, it's a pain in the neck when you don't get any warning that it's going to go, but you try and transfer things over and all you get is a error notification to say that your memory card is deceased. Ah well, never mind. One of those things, you gotta deal with it. So yeah, we're going to go in over all of this surface here with this dark earth. We're not covering where the bricks are, we're not covering where the bark chippings are, because that's going to be rock. We're just going to go over everything that we want to be dirt and earth, and it's just a base colour until we get the main flocking items on. So once we've done this, we're going to be moving on to a different colour, I think. Yes, Vallejo Modeler Dark Grey Blue. I've left this on so that you can actually see what it, or you know what it is, because I forget, and it's been a while since I did this. So I'm reminding myself as I do the narration of what I've been using. So it's quite handy. So this is going over all of the bark chippings, which we want to be rock. So this is a nice base colour for it. It's not black, obviously it's like a dark blue grey, but it gives a nice shadow detail to it. Once we start dry brushing and whatever over it, it will stand out rather nicely. But we need to make sure that all the areas of these bark chippings are actually covered in this particular colour, because we need it as shadow. Now from there we're going over to Vallejo Modeler Mahogany, and this is going to go over all the bricks. We want these a nice reddish brown colour, and there are some bricks that are stuck into the modelling compound, so I want to make sure we cover them as well. And if we get some on the over the dark earth and the bits that we want to be ground, it doesn't really make any difference, because again it's going to be covered up. It's just so that if any of the flocking later on comes off, you don't see black underneath. That's the reason we paint it, paint over the basic base coat. It's just so that if anything chips off at a later date, it's not going to be pure black. So yeah, make sure that we go over all of these bricks, or what will be bricks or stone, with this dark earth. And I'm going to put a bit of this mahogany over the earth as well, and I think I said that wrong. We're going over the bricks and stones with mahogany, not dark earth, and everywhere where we've painted dark earth we're going to leave, except a few bits and pieces here and there. We'll just touch up with this mahogany just to darken it a little bit, just to give it that little bit of interest in the ground texture. So adding a little bit more mahogany into the is it mahogany? No, it isn't. This is a paler colour and I can't think of what it is now because I didn't put it on the Ujit. I think it may be Middlestone. I use for this as a highlight for the bricks. I think it's Middlestone. It's the one I usually use for that kind of thing. Again, it's Vallejo paint from the Modeler range. Now let's get let's get CD palette out. I nearly said palette cam. And for this we're going to start doing a little bit of dry brushing. I do believe it's the only reason you get the CD palette out. And this is going to be pale grey, which is Army Painter's uniform grey. This isn't one that I do like to use for highlighting stone and whatever. That's all we're doing here, is just going over, picking out edges just to make sure they look a little brighter, and picking out any detail that's in this bark chippings. Now bear in mind I've not done the modelling compound over the bark itself. I've then basically embedded the bark into the compound, glued it down, made sure it sticks. And now we're just bringing out all the lovely detail that's in these pieces of bark that we have. How many more times am I going to say bark in this video? I don't know. I'm not going to put a counter on because I can't be bothered. But there we are. I really do like the way this looks. Now we're going over to troll claws. And once again, using the CD palette, we'll put a little bit down on the CD itself and get a little bit on the brush. Again, dry brushing, we're not going over heavily here, and this we'll use to just pick out the very sharp recesses or very sharp corners and whatever of the stones and the bricks that we've embedded in there. This is not essential to do, but it does bring it out and make it look a bit nicer. You can take this as far as you want to go. Now I've not actually finished this project. You may have seen, hopefully you've seen my Drive a Road 2 video the other day, where I explained the reason why it's not finished, but you're going to see as finished as I could possibly get it. But because of certain issues we have at the moment, I've not been able to get it finished properly as I would normally do, but it's finished enough to get the video done. And I needed to get it done tonight. So that's with the troll claws, and it's brought up the brickwork rather nicely there. Now we're adding Mod Podge onto the piece itself, and we're going to do like a straight run leading up to this broken wall. We're covering all this part in Mod Podge because we're going to be putting down, for want of a better phrase, a path. We're doing like a pathway up to somewhere. We don't know where, we don't care where, it doesn't matter where. All that matters is that we get this covered. And we're just sprinkling some children's play sand over the top. It's very fine sand. 9 times out of 10 you don't realise you're actually using it once you've used it on bases. And this is like a fine ballast that you can get for model railways rather. And we mix those together, make it look like there's more stones and bits in certain areas, and just straight dirt path leading up, and that's how it looks once it's dried. As you can see, it doesn't give a very chunky effect, this fine play sand. It is very smooth when it's finished, but it is good, it works wonders. So you just saw I showed you the Mod Podge thing, so we're going to cover again in Mod Podge, and this time we're using a different type of flocking. Again, not quite sure which one I used, but we'll find out in a moment. It's nice to see this again when it's been a few weeks since I actually did it. but I was hoping to get this done and ready, but we had news which sort of like disrupted all plans. So I've not been able to get things done as quick or as soon as I wanted to, but never mind, it's done. So yeah, we're going over all of this side with Mod Podge. It does take a little minute to do this, but it's worth it if you just get a decent layer on. And thinking about it, this is the second layer of Mod Podge that's going on this, so everything underneath it will be covered. And this is another product from Geek Gaming Scenics. It's one of the base ready mixes, and I cannot for the life of me remember which one it is. But it's a mix of static grasses and stones, and it really does fit in well with what I've already put in. That ballast that I added to the path, there are chunks of that in this, or it looks as though there is anyway. Well, yeah, I've just covered all of this with this type of thing, or this particular base ready mix, and this I think is done just for miniature bases rather than actually doing this, but there's nothing stopping you using it for this. Now, where there's a little bit of detail needs to be done, or bit of care, a smaller brush works wonders, because obviously the smaller brush can get to the places the bigger brush can't. And as you can see, we are leaving a few bits here and there that's not going to be covered in this base ready mix. But we're going to be, as I say, we're going to cover over most of it. And once we've got enough of what we want on there, we'll add some more of the mix. And once we've done that, we'll leave it all to dry. So now I'm doing this, as you can see, just sprinkling it on. I'm not doing anything special. There's no special applicators. I'm using no special tools, just a paintbrush and my fingers. The paintbrush obviously to apply the Mod Podge more than anything else. And I just realised I'd missed a bit there, so I'll go back and add some more. Oh no, this time I'm going to put some of this funky moss stuff. Like and subscribe if you want to. Lichen, whatever you want to call it, doesn't make any difference. I'm going to put some of this down just to add a little bit more colour. Spray a little bit of watered down PVA glue over it to try and make it stick, because I was having a little trouble getting it to stick. But now we've done that side, we'll make a start on this side. This side we're going to do things a little differently. Not much differently, but a little differently. We're still covering with Mod Podge, but rather than using the base ready mix that's from Geek Gaming Scenics, we're using a few mixed herbs. Not only does it give a look of leaves that have fallen from the trees in the past, give it a bit of ground, the leaf litter. The phrase is, as is the phrase I was trying to find. Not only does it give it a little bit of leaf litter, but it also makes it smell nice, if, unlike me, you have a sense of smell. So maybe I'll just scatter some of that around, and then we can put some of the base ready mix around it as well. So you're having a mix here, because this is the side where we're going to be putting trees. which is the reason we made them in the first place. So yeah, base ready mix. Going on over the rest of the areas that we did with Mod Podge. You can see there's some areas in the area of leaf litter that still hasn't been covered, but we just add a little bit of the base ready mix to that, I think. Or do I just leave it? I don't know. No, we do add some. So if you've enjoyed this video, you can give it a like if you will, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video and got something out of it, you can click the bell to be notified. And we have Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to help out the channel in any way financially. The choice is yours. I'm not pressuring you, but that's where we are now. So what I'm doing now is a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and we'll just spray over the whole thing, give it a good blast, and then once we've done that, we can spray over with some watered down PVA glue and the isopropyl alcohol. Don't know what it does, but all the cool kids seem to be doing it. So yeah, we've got some PVA glue that's been watered down, and we'll just drip some of that off, and that will hopefully spread out and really secure down the base ready mix and all the flock that we've put over it. As you can see, it doesn't look too charming at the moment, but just wait till it dries. It does take a little bit to dry, but once it does dry, you won't see that milkiness. And speaking of drying, it does take a while. So basically we have to wait. And we've waited long enough and it's dried. So now here we are, get the pin vise out, and this is where the fun begins, and we start drilling into it to insert our trees that we've made. So we just put a hole and we get one of our trees. Now you can see there is a flat bit and a curvy bit. The flat bit we're going to have to the back, just because I want it to look a bit fuller as you're looking at it. It's going to be back to a wall, so it doesn't really need to be completely tree-like all the way around. Just as long as you remember, yeah, I've just tried to mime there what I've just said about keeping the flat bit to the back. So there we are, we'll push the tree in, and it does look as though it's had a bit of a rough time. I think I was literally trying to find the hole that I drilled in there, because once you've got all this basing stuff on, it's difficult to find the hole. But looks as though I have done it. So let's get some glue on the base, and then we can pop it back onto the base, onto the diorama piece, and push it into the hole that we've drilled. And there we are, we'll let it set there, just like that. And everybody needs a friend, as Bob Ross used to say, so let's give him one. And we have another tree there. And it looks as though these trees have been bashed about a bit when they were growing up. They've grown up bent. But we have a few trees made, so let's pile them in. And around the bases of the trees we'll just sprinkle some more of this mixed herbs, just to make it look as though there is leaf litter down there. And we'll go over with the isopropyl alcohol and PVA glue to secure it all down a bit later. So we've got some trees in the background there. Let's get some in the, so we say in the middle ground, for want of a better phrase to use. So what I'm doing there as well is I'm pushing in a little bit of a pin just to try and widen the hole a little bit, because some of these bases, or some of the trunks of these trees, are a little bit thicker than the drill I was using. It's the thickest drill bit I had, so it's one of those things. And we'll do that one as a little shrub, a bush or some such. There we go. Yeah, get quite a few of these nice little trees in there. And you can do it, you can make bushes and all sorts out of these, but as it stands I just decided to make these trees. And once again, sprinkle some of the mixed herbs around the bases of them, and then we'll go along later with the isopropyl alcohol and glue. There we go. Let's put one over here as well, why not? We can do this. We can do anything we want, it's our world. Yes, do we want any more going down? I don't know. Yeah, I'll have a little bit of a shrub there. Anything we add later on we'll come back to, and I'll show you if I do add any more to it, but I just wanted to get this video out to show what I'm doing. And here we're going to be having a little dirt patch, just as though it's been mud that's been stirred up, and that's why we're using this paint on it. A skeleton bone I think it was, or something like that. So we're adding a little bit of Mod Podge here, just to make it look like it's wet mud, I suppose. And the reason for this particular diorama is because last year, or the day this particular video goes out, is our wedding anniversary. And at the end of this video you're going to see the cake that was made for our wedding. My brother made the cake, and basically this is a reproduction, or my version of the cake. But that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, as always, stay safe and take care. God bless, and bye for now.